Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dear Me podcast, where we have conversations that heal. On today's episode, we'll be talking about navigating relationships. And to have this conversation with me, we have a dear friend, a colleague called Angel Yinkore. I'm going to read out her bio so that we have a good idea of her foundation, and then we're going to get into the conversation, okay? All right, so let me just pull this up. Now, Angel is a highly skilled consultant psychologist with extensive experience in providing therapeutic services to both corporate clients and private individuals across Nigeria and internationally. Specializing in trauma therapy and behavior management, she has worked with esteemed organizations such as Andela, Yellow Card, the Due Wellness Centers, and others, helping them address complex mental health challenges within their teams. Her dedication extends beyond her private practice, as she is actively involved in leading mental health organizations. A passionate advocate for mental health awareness, Angel has volunteered with the Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative and the Stand to End Rape Initiative. At STARE, she previously led the Mental Health and Psychosocial Services Department, where she spearheaded transformative initiatives, including the first ever group therapy project in Lagos for survivors of sexual violence. Her work has been instrumental in creating a safe, supportive environment for survivors, offering them both healing and empowerment. Angel is also a sought-after public speaker, regularly sharing her expertise on mental health through media appearances on radio and television, and at high-profile events, including her TEDx, Her Insightful Talk, which addressed the importance of mental wellness, particularly in the African context. In addition to her broader work, Angel is a visionary founder of the Just Us Girls Therapy Group program, a groundbreaking initiative designed to support and empower young women. Through this program, she emphasizes the critical role of mental well-being in shaping healthy, fulfilling lives, helping young women navigate challenges with resilience and with confidence. Angel's unwavering commitment to mental health, combined with her practical experience and ability to connect with diverse audiences, makes her a leader in the field of psychology. That is an extensive bio.
It's so long.
You don't walk.
I'm just like, I feel like when they're like all those pastors in church, you're just like put your hands together, like waiting. That's really long. I need to show you that.
Oh no, it's really nice. Like reading about it just gives me a good idea of your work history over the years since we first started working together. So like since 2018 up until now, you've achieved quite a lot.
I have. It's really like that. So.
You know what? Before we get into the conversation, I want to know about the Just Us Girls Therapy program. I think this is the first time I've heard the name, but I haven't really like delved into the program much. So tell me a bit about it. When did you found it? How long has it been? What is it like at the moment?
So I think I started that COVID year, maybe 2021. I can't remember right now. And I think we did 3 cohorts at the time of 2020, young women. It was age 18. It was meant to be teenagers, right? It was meant to be age 18, I think, to 21 or 25. But then I think I extended it to 30. And there were just so many people.
Oh, wow.
Right? I think we had like 150 sign-ups the first day. And I was like, what have I done? Right? And so it was a weekly talk. It was a lot. I had to pause. I would do 3 hours on Saturday, another 3 hours on Saturday, because it was a conversation. And so there would be one topic per week. So I think we did communication. The heaviest was obviously abuse, right? And then relationship with family. And so I would speak and then, share your story or share what you want to share. And so people would share. And the estimated time was meant to be 1 hour. But quickly I realized 1 hour was not realistic. And so I think we had groups of 10 or 15. And then it would be 3 hour talks. I would do one cohort on Saturday. I would do another cohort on Sunday. And I did it for about 3 months, thereabout, like different cohorts. And then I started my master's degree. And I was like, yeah, this can't coincide at the same time. So I put a pause on that. Luckily, I'm done with the master's now. So I might go back into doing that.
Congratulations.
But it was a lot.
It was.
It really was a lot. But yeah, that was Just Us Girls. It was interesting just to see the sameness of issues and differences of issues, I guess.
That is so impressive.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, 3 months. And this was during 2020?
Yeah, 2020 or 2021.
Those were 2 very heavy times in the therapy industry here in Nigeria, because all of a sudden everyone was like, yeah, I need therapy.
Exactly.
And there was this high influx of individuals coming in to ask for help. So pairing that with like the regular work of practicing and then doing a support group, that's quite heavy.
Yeah, I didn't expect it because it was just an idea I had on Twitter. I was just like, okay, I'm doing this group thing, sign up, and I put on a Google form and like, pew, pew, I just thought it was like,
sign up.
Oh, I've done a thing.
People got a lot to say.
Exactly, and then we had to now do it on a first come first serve basis. It was a whole thing because people were like, I signed up. Why am I not here? My friend is here. Like, well, she signed. She was 45. You are 46.
Wow,
that's the cutoff line. So it really was a lot. But yeah, it was nice.
It's nice to hear. Well done. So when you say you're going to go back to it, when are you thinking about returning?
Maybe next year because I'd like it to be a bit more expansive. I think like this year I spoke at the Bloom conference of Tosin Durotoya, and that really gave me a push. I mean, she works with younger girls, like younger teenagers, and I work with adults. And I was just like, okay, maybe it's time I go back to this because like just because a person is an adult doesn't mean they're like mentally all right in certain things, and that's one of the things that the Just Us Girls program taught me. So yeah, speaking this year at Bloom, I was like, okay, maybe I should reopen Just Those Girls again and just start again for a new cohort, just better manage this time. And now I have other therapists in the practice, so it's not just me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations. 25. Yes. Yeah, 25 So I have a question, which is what has it been like for you practicing couples therapy? But actually, before that, you just said you finished your master's degree. What did you do your master's in, and what was that experience like for you?
This master's was in sexual rights, sexual and reproductive rights in Africa. Okay. Ooh, what was that like to go into it? Because so again, I'm on Twitter quite a bit. I used to be, and I was on Twitter one day, and I saw a school opportunity, a scholarship up, and I was bored, and I was like, okay,
that was it.
Nice. Yeah. It wasn't, I mean, at the time I was in STER. I was close to leaving STER, and I really do have a passion for like trauma and sexual abuse, right? So I was like, oh, this looks nice. And I signed up and I got it. And I was like one of those things where you're like, huh, okay. I didn't really think I was going to get it. You know, so I got it, and it was a lot because it's a law degree. It's for lawyers.
Oh, wow.
And I studied psychology.
That's a very,
very far. And so it was quite a culture shock, especially as someone who's always been like academically good, because it was so out of my depth. But it really taught me that like I can do hard things, right? Just because a thing is hard doesn't mean it's impossible. And so I pushed and pushed and pushed. It was a lot of reading, a lot of studying. My professor didn't let me give up, my supervisor, because I was just like, I'm done.
I remember that.
Exactly.
At some point, I remember you talking about on the group where you were like, man, I think I'm just going to leave this master's degree.
Because everybody was like, it's a scholarship, you know, you have. And I'm just like, I don't want it again. But yeah, I'm done now. My results should be out soon.
Congratulations. What was your thesis on?
So my thesis is on the effects of psychotropic medication on women living with depression. So again, from Twitter, I remember someone had tweeted about how they got on psychotropic medications, which are the drugs you take when you have mental health conditions, and they didn't know the impact that it would have on their sex drive, their libido, vaginal dryness, all those kinds of things. And so I saw the tweet and I was like, oh, this is interesting, because she was like, she wasn't informed. And so my topic is on informed consent. So psychiatric nurses, also psychologists, it's our duty to give informed consent, like informed information, so people know that, okay, if you're going on these drugs, these are the kinds of things that will happen to you. And it's specifically on women because we're not just prioritized when it comes to sex. So it's like, oh, your vagina is going to get dry, but nobody's going to tell you that. All right, and you're going to start having painful sex, but nobody's going to tell you that. So for me, it was your mental health, sexual pleasure, right? And sexual pleasure is always put at the back burner. So that was my topic. It's really just, if you're giving somebody medication, they should know the whole picture of this is going to affect X, Y, Z areas. And sex should not be left out of that conversation. That's my thesis.
That is so impressive. I look forward to reading it, because I do like reading people's thesis, but it's summarized version, not the full thing. I'm reading up that thing. Not that, but yes, I look forward, because it's information nonetheless that would be very useful for practice. So now let's come down to your practice. You run your own private practice. And how long has this been for?
This should be 6 years, I think. We started in 2018, so this should be my 6th going to 7th year, bro. Yeah. So yeah, it's been good. I mean, you started practicing. I tell everybody that like Amanda literally started because I was like, oh, I'm not practicing yet, and we were like, oh, you've been doing this thing instead, so just start it. And then we started as Andela consulting together. And then private practice, referrals, because this work is really referral.
Yep.
Referral, social media. Now it's a group practice. There's other people involved. And sometimes I wake up and I don't believe my life.
Really?
It's like, I don't feel like an adult a lot. And because I run a business, it's adulting. And I just want to be a baby girl. And so there's like, oh, salary, oh, taxes, oh, this one, you need to expand, you need to grow.
Yep.
But it's gone really well. I mean, there's definitely room for growth, but it's all right.
So for me, I want to know, like, what has it been like working with couples here in Nigeria, in Lagos?
Interesting question. So how did I even start doing couples therapy? I think you referred a case to me once, I guess. And I was like, okay, I don't have training in this. Let me go get training in this. And I mean, the leading couples therapy research, or one of the leading, is the Gottman couples therapy. So I went on the website. I think at the time it was like $500+. I was like, haha, how much money have I made? I'm buying this certificate. So luckily, Coach G, Femisoke, on Twitter, she's one of my egbons in therapy, right? And so I spoke to her and she was like, oh yeah, she's done the training and she can give me the resources, and basically she helped me in getting the training, and I did it. And so the Gottman School of Thought is very, very interesting. He has an amazing book, 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work, has a lot of things. And I read a lot of the research. And then you have to adapt it to the culture. And so I deviated a bit from it because it's very Western facing. I mean, they've done lots of research around the world, but Africa and Nigeria is very unique. And so one of the common things, and I'm sure you've heard this as well, when like people will come and work with us either from like Canada or America, is like, oh, the white therapist didn't understand what I was saying.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean at 30 you're not married as a woman? And so the white therapist won't understand that, and then they'll come and work with us, right? And so even with couples therapy, you have to adapt it to the culture and to the people here. And so using the Gottman School of Thought plus, my own personal therapy work, and then just kind of mixing it in the middle is how I've worked with couples over the years. I'll say it's very interesting because I work with people that are dating and people that are married, right? And one of the things I tell them very early on, so I use the Gottman's method, and I have an individual session with one person, individual session with another person, and then we have a joint session where I do the assessments from Gottman, and then I have a report where I'm like, okay, these are the areas that I can see from your individual, because sometimes I think some therapists, I won't say it's a mistake, but some therapists starts with joint therapy. And for me, I don't think you see a person fully if you see them together. Right? So I like to see you as an individual. Let me hear your pain points. Let me hear your perspective of the relationship. Let me hear person B. Then I'll see you both together and I'll point out the areas I need to work on. I think some of the ground rules I set very early on, especially in joint therapy, we don't talk over each other. You're speaking to me as a therapist. You're not speaking to your partner. If this is how it happened, this is your experience of it. Also, very early on, I tell them my job is not to keep you together at any cost. If this relationship is unhealthy, if I don't think you're good for each other, I'll let you know.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so my clients are very clear that like this person is not by force. You must stay together. You must be married. Divorce is a sin. Or I don't do that. My job here is just I'm a fly on the wall. I'm observing each person, and this is how it happens. And again, it's very difficult because you're not in the relationship. So two people can have a fight, and the way this person tells you and the way this person tells you are completely different. And I have had issues over the years, once or twice. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. It's very challenging. It's very, very challenging. But it's nice work. It's heavy work, but it's nice work because it really shows you how relationships operate. It really shows you just the fact that like you're two very different adults that have met and decided to fall in love and be together. And so sometimes we come with this ready-made scripts of how we want our partners to be. And our partners are not that script. And so when your script is falling apart, you start to fall apart and relationships start to fall apart. Right? So it's my job to tell you that this is the person you're married to, this person you're dating, this person you've chosen. Right? And they are not the script that you brought into this relationship. So you have to amend, you have to readjust, right? But yeah, I think I've been doing couples therapy since I was 24. Maybe 2020, thereabouts. Yeah, and it's been good. I have a number of successes. I have a lot of therapy babies now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I have a lot of therapy marriages. I have a number of therapy babies. I think we had 2 babies this year. And it's so interesting, like when you've been working with someone since they were young adults, and now they're
Yes.
parents. It's like, how did we get
I
here?
know.
So yeah, like a number of successes. Some people have ended their relationships. Some people have ended
Mm-hmm.
relationships and then gone to get married to other people. So it's just watching people as they progress over life. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has been okay.
I think that timeline of seeing your clients grow over the years is so interesting. I remember one of my clients got married this year, and it just felt so nice. It's like a win for them is like a win for you. You're like, oh my goodness, look at you! You have a kid, you're married, you're doing all these things. You got a job, you got these things that you're asking for. So I understand that sense of fulfillment that really comes with walking on this path. So what would you say, like, are some of the major issues that people in Nigeria come to with major issues that couples have in this country?
So would you say dating or in marriage or both?
Both. So we can do in dating and then we can do it in marriage. And I like the fact that you separate the both of them.
Oh yeah, it's very different. It's very different. I would say in dating, one of the things people come to or come with is communication. Right. So your communication style being different from my communication style. And so I expect you to communicate in a certain way and you don't communicate in that way, and then that causes issues. Another issue I see a lot with dating is boundaries, right? Especially like with other people, opposite sex or same sex or whatever it is, right? Just those kinds of boundaries, like, oh, you've had all these friends before I came, and now that I'm here, everybody should go. And it's like, what? That these people were here before you, So boundaries are one of the things that I see during dating. Culture and religion is an interesting one, right? Because it's just like, oh, I'm this tribe, you're this tribe, and you would think that tribe doesn't play because it's 21st century. It really does.
I can imagine.
And so we're good up until the point where things start to get serious, and now I have to introduce you to people, and your family is treating me in a funny way, my family treating me in a funny way. So tribe really does come up, religion does come up, differences in religion, even within the same religion. You're Pentecostal, I'm Anglican, right? So that also does come up. So I see them as their external issues, so things that are outside of the couple, right? And their internal issues, so things that are within the couple, right? So moving from there into marriage, one of the big issues I see, a lot of my couples for the first year of marriage, their fights are around the wedding. And that is very interesting because of our culture, there's so many stakeholders in marriage. And so you and your partner are good up until the wedding, right? And so your mother wants a big wedding. My mother wants a small wedding. Your mother wants the wedding to be in Abuja. My mother wants the wedding to be in Asaba. This one. And so you see, and another interesting thing that comes up with couples, and I'll go back a bit, is your partner in one way, and then you see certain shades of their character when they encounter different people. So, for example, you may think your partner is very good with money, and then you see them around their secondary school friends, and they're blowing money, and you're like, who is this person? Or then you see them around their family and realize they don't know how to say no. And so something I see interestingly around the wedding season is you discover who your partner is around their family. Wow. Especially if you're dating someone who they never really interface with their family during dating. So we've dated for 3 years. You talk about your family, but we've never really interfaced with them that much. And now you've proposed, right? And so now that you've proposed, we're having family meetings, and I realize you don't know how to say no to your mother. You don't know how to say no to your father.
And that can be a problem.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That can be a problem.
Or you realize that your partner is not as respectful to your parents as you'd like. So maybe in your own house, they dobale. It's very, very servy to the parents. And your partner is just like,
afternoon, ma.
Exactly.
Handshake.
So for example, I'm Joe. We don't kneel down. I greet my father good morning as I'm passing. Now, if I'm marrying a very traditional person from, say, Yoruba, I'm supposed to kneel down. We don't do that where I come from. And so during weddings, people start to discover new parts of their partners, right? And so, so you can't say no to your mother. That's interesting. Or your mom expects to live with us when I give birth or we have a kid, all those kinds of things. So for a number of couples, that first year of marriage, a lot of their fights center around the wedding. Especially like the wedding day, this auntie didn't get food, this uncle didn't get food, this one I said this one on this group chat, and so it goes back and forth like that.
Wow.
So post-wedding, the second set of issues I see, especially with Nigerian couples, because I've worked with foreign couples as well, is finances. So because we are very religious here, we don't cohabit. And when you don't cohabit, your finances aren't as mixed. right? And so a lot of people discover their partner's financial habits post-marriage. So I class it under how your partner makes money, spends money, invests money. And so you realize that, oh, this person I'm married to lives very YOLO. Or this person I'm married to is very stingy. Or now with all the loan apps available, you get into marriage and realize your partner's an only basic, you know.
Oh wow,
and
that's so embarrassing.
Exactly.
Imagine being at home and someone is banging at your door. You are
Exactly.
owing me money.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And so because we don't cohabit here, a lot of people learn money habits post-marriage instead of pre-marriage, right? And so there are a lot of issues that come down the line, but I would say family, money, religion, culture are four of the, like I call them, strongholds. There are four big strongholds in relationships.
Wow.
So yeah.
That is so amazing. Do you ever have couples that come in and argue because of how they raise the kids? Like differing ways about what we think is the best way to either discipline our child or the best path for them to follow, and that's when they're not getting along.
So I wouldn't say I've had it exactly like that. I would say that sometimes when it comes to child raising in Nigeria, people are quite similar, right? And differences show pre-marriage for most people. So couples that are more liberal tend to be more liberal before marriage. Couples that are traditional tend to be traditional after marriage, right? I would say sometimes the differences you see are people that move from here abroad, right, with their children. And so now we're in a more liberal society. And it's like, we used to flog back home, now we cannot flog.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things. So I won't say and again, a lot of my couples are young. So maybe as I continue in therapy and their children get older, but I think my oldest therapy baby shouldn't be more than 5, at least that were born in therapy. I do have older clients that have like teenagers and adult children and all those kinds of things. But I won't say parenting styles has been a big issue because most people usually are on the same page with how they raise their children.
Have you ever had any couple that, you had to navigate a divorce with them? Yeah.
Yeah, like divorce, separation, definitely. It's very heavy, especially if it's a couple you've been working with since they were a couple. So there are couples that come because of the divorce. So we're considering divorce or we're considering separation. So help us navigate that. There are couples that you've worked with before, and then they're just like, yeah, this isn't working anymore. We want to separate, we want to divorce. So it's very tricky because you're working with two people. Sometimes what I do now in the practice is that if I'm seeing a couple as a couple in couples therapy and you want to do individual therapy, you go to other therapists in the practice, right? So I'm only seeing you as a couple, right? And that can be quite difficult as well because sometimes I need individual scope, right, to understand the person. So if I want to see a person individually, I'll be like, I'll see you individually, and we'll put couples therapy on pause, right? Or you both go and see other therapists, right? And you're doing couples therapy with me. But the divorce separation one is very heavy. It's very heavy to navigate.
And what are some of the heaviest parts of it?
Just like sometimes divorce is mutual. A lot of times it's one person, right? And so when you see someone trying to hold on at a cost to themselves, as a therapist, you can't just butt in and be like, this person wants to go, because they still love this person, and so you really have to just hold that space until they are ready to see the writing on the wall.
And that can be very difficult because you have to watch them suffer through it.
You do.
And I remember a client of mine who was going through like a separation after infidelity, and it was so difficult for her. And she was like, she wasn't ready to let go. She wasn't ready. So she kept trying until then after some time, she was like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
It's time for me to end the relationship now, and it's time for me to move on. Even when I have couples that come in, like not couples, but an individual who comes in and they're having issues in their relationship and they ask me, oh, Amanda, do you think I should stay or leave? I just I can't tell you what to do, but I can only support whatever decisions that you're making. I can help you gain clarity. Like, this is your situation. This is not healthy. This is not healthy for you. This is not healthy for the both of you. So with this awareness that you have of the dynamic that exists in your relationship, do you want to stay or do you want to leave? And if you're going to stay, what would that look like? Exactly. And if you're going to leave, how are you going to go about it? Yeah.
Relationships are like very difficult to navigate, especially as a therapist, because like you're in the middle, right? It's really difficult being in the middle, and it's very different when, these are like two emotionally mature, healthy, want to work on it individuals. If you're in couples therapy and somebody's like, oh, I didn't want to be here, they said I should come. And like, okay, let's talk. And they're just like, I have nothing to say to you. I was forced to come here. And so it's like, okay, And so the thing with being a therapist is you really have to learn skills around these kinds of things. So I'm like, okay, if you don't want to talk about the relationship, what interests you? And then it's like, oh, it's football. I'm like, okay, let's talk about football. Or it's anime, let's talk about anime. Or it's business, let's talk about business. And when they get comfortable talking about those things, then they start to talk about the relationship.
Yes.
Right. So couples therapy, it takes a lot of tact. It takes a lot of tact, takes a lot of wisdom because it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. But yeah, around the divorce one, you just have to hold space, right? You just really have to hold space, and especially when it's like things that are not physical. So when it's words, when it's verbal, when it's emotional, right? Because if I injure you, you can bleed. You can see that I injured you, right? But emotional things, verbal things, you can't see that, right? And so it's just like you said, like sometimes you have to wait for your clients to get to where they need to get to. You can't rush into them. I remember a client telling me, like, maybe we were like in our 6th or 10th session, and they were like, Angel, why didn't you tell me this is the first session? I was like, if I told you, would you have come back? They're like, yeah, right. I'd have gotten defensive. I would have like, how dare you?
You know?
And I'm like, they were like, did you know this from the first? I was like, yeah.
Because you typically tell things, yeah.
And they're like, but why didn't you tell me? And I was like, because you wouldn't come back to therapy. Nobody wants to be forced to see the truth until they're ready. And that's couples therapy. You have to just wait it out.
Now, one of the things that on my end, when I work with my clients is, especially those in relationships, is learning how to choose the right partner for yourself. And in the journey of discussing how to choose the right partner, we then go down to talk about childhood. Because for me, psychodynamic theory is my baby. If I'm talking to you, I'm going back to when you were a kid. What happened to you and how did that shape your worldview? And one thing I'm learning, and I'm also seeing, and I'm teaching my clients, is the impact of your childhood love patterns that are formed with your parents and how that continues to color the relationships that you form going forward. So my question to you is that, do you ever have to do that childhood healing work to help people gain insight into how it's manifesting in their romantic relationships as adults? And what has that experience been like?
All the time. So when I do my initial assessments, which is the individual joint, and I give my report comes in 2 ways. It's either one of you needs individual therapy, both of you need individual therapy, or we're just going to continue couples therapy. Now, some people are ready for couples therapy, but they're not ready for individual therapy. So I'm ready to talk about my relationship. I don't want to talk about my childhood. So for example, give an example of relationship. This is a relationship, and then one person struggles with, say, abandonment, right? Now that abandonment is linked to your childhood. Maybe a father stepped out, a mother stepped out, something happened, you're abandoned, right? And in this relationship, you've now become very insecure, whatever. I need to address that abandonment. But you're like, I don't want to talk about the fact that my father left when I was 5. And I'm like, okay, then we can't work on the relationship. And so when you're ready, come back, right? I tell them, I'm like, if you want to continue paying me money for the couple stuff, that you can do that. But until we address this abandonment, you're not going to make any headway in this relationship. So some couples come and they're like, childhood is seemingly fine, right? And I'm like, okay, if what you're having is issue with communication, let's continue working on the communication thing. It's in this relationship. However, if during the couples work I realize that, there's something in your childhood that is affecting, I'll call them back. I'm like, you need to get individual therapy for this particular thing. We can't address this in the unit. You have to address this as an individual. And so it's really, really important because I think of like humans as well, like trees, right? You can't study leaves and not study the roots, right? You can't leave the childhood, you can't leave your teenagers, your early adulthood. And I think as Nigerians, we're very like not mental health healthy. So we're just like, I'm an adult. I've always been an adult. And it's like, no. You were a child, you were a baby, you need a teenager.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that's how I do couples therapy. It's like, if there's individual stuff, I'll be like, you need to go and address this in individual therapy. If you want to work with me, that's fine. If you want to work with someone else, if you want to work with someone in practice, if you want to work outside the practice. But this thing, you're not, because then I draw pattern work for them. I'm like, okay, let's even leave this relationship you're in. The last relationship, the one before that, the one before that. What's the common thread? And they're like, abandonment. I'm like, you see? It's not this person that is bringing up this wound for you. This wound has always existed.
And to be honest, one thing I find that also helps for me is not just showing them the pattern in their romantic relationships, but also identifying it in their friendships as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you tell people, like people run from the truth a lot. They always try to find a way to just wiggle themselves out of it. And you say, okay, let's look at your past relationship. What happened here? What happened here? Can you see the thread? They'd be like, but Amanda, no, they're all different people. Like the circumstance was different, the context was different. So because of that, it was not the same thing. And even for this one, I responded this way. I also changed. So they can't really see it clearly. And I say, okay, fine, you know what? Let's look at your friendships. Let's look at other relationships out in your life and see if there's that's when they now start to see there's a consistency in how it's going, that they have a particular pattern of response that goes on and on. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So thinking about this, about childhood and romantic relationships, what are some childhood issues that you've noticed then cause issues in a person's relationship? So like you said before, abandonment, that's very common. Absent father, absent mother. And in Nigeria, absence is not physical absence. It's emotional absence, it's financial absence, it is like spiritual absence, it's absence in other ways. Exactly. And because we tend to see our families together, but the truth that the family is not together. So what are some of the common childhood wounds that you see in couples that cause them to have either to be in unhealthy relationships or create and sustain unhealthy relationships?
So I think one of the first ones is definitely parental relationships, right? And so the way people saw their parents, right? Their parents' marriage, right? Some people, so the way I like look at trauma is the example I give is like, imagine like there's an accident and three people were in the car, all right? One person may never drive that road again and just believe that that road is cursed. Another person will be like, it was a Toyota we were driving that day. I will never step foot in a Toyota. Another person is like, I wore black that day. I'm never wearing black. Another person is like, oh, it was just an accident. It's fine. Same accident, four totally different responses. And so when I look at people in their families, you see that siblings will respond to trauma differently, right? And so some people will look at their parents' marriage and be like, I don't want to be with anybody like my father, or I don't want to be with anybody like my mother, right? And some people will tend to pick their parents again, right? So I remember working with someone and we did pattern work around all their relationships, and they were like, Angel, I've been dating my father and different people. And I was like, yeah, you have. And it was a whole sub session, you know, because they'd never seen it. And they detested their father, you know. And so it's really just seeing the fact that like unaddressed trauma shows up, no matter how much you think it's unaddressed. It's showing up in one way or another. And so parental relationships is one thing, but also the relationships between the parents. So people that come from secure, loving families, which are not the norm here, to be honest.
It's so weird that secure, loving families, that's just not the norm.
It's just not the norm. You know, and so people that come from families where parents tolerated each other, right, or parents were roommates, right, where love was never mirrored for them. And so what you see tends to happen is they don't know how to navigate those relationships when they're adults. Another thing that you see as well is like hyper independence. So in families where a parent, especially fathers, for example, stepped out really early and one child had to start to parent very quickly the other children or start to parent or help their mom. You see a lot of emotional incest and enmeshment where you're 5 years old, 10 years old, and your mom or your dad is telling you your parents' business, right? And so now you're in their business and you have to grow up really quickly knowing that mommy does this or daddy does that, you know, and then when these people get into these relationships, those wounds carry on, right? So there are a lot of common threads. There's abandonment, there's a lot of, you know, emotional, there's a lot of abuse, right? So I saw my mom abused, I saw my dad abused. And so that's how I think of marriage. And for some people, it might not be physical abuse. It's just that where I come from, we shout, right? And so now you're dating this person and you just shout because that's what you do where you come from, right? And so some people, it's just, this is the norm where I come from. And so it must be the norm everywhere else, right? And they just carry that and continue. And it takes them either dating someone who's like, that's not normal, that's not healthy, that's not good, or them just growing up on their own and learning or coming to therapy. So there are some common threads that like are in our culture that I've seen in couples relationships. But I think the interesting thing is when people date someone who came from a secure family, an emotionally healthy family, it takes a while, but that particular relationship starts to change them because you're shouting at somebody who is calm, who is just like, okay, It's not how we do things here.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to when you're also with someone who had similar, kind of thing. And the interesting thing is people tend to leave the healthy relationship because it's not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What you're comfortable in is what is familiar.
Yes.
And what is familiar is dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just like, I don't want that. I want the
Glasgows,
Glasgows,
I want what you call the passion, the spice. But you don't understand. It's like every day you're worrying. Yeah, exactly. Every day you're worrying. Every day you're stressing out. And what you said was so true about like people ending up marrying their parents. I remember like two of my friends, and they said this to me at two different intervals. That Amanda, I don't know how I ended up marrying my father. I don't know how I ended up marrying a man like my father because that was the one thing I didn't want. And what I then point out to my clients that say things like, oh, I never want to marry my father, I never want to marry my mother, is that if you don't do the work of understanding why your father was your father and what wounds created the man that he was, you're going to end up having the same cycle. So like there's this example, I think it was Kevin Hart that said it, or just American comedian, I can't remember his name. He was like, his father was an absent man. He wasn't present for his kids. He didn't provide for them. And he said to himself that, you know what, I'm never going to be like my dad. I'm going to be a better man than my dad was. But then what ended up happening was that he ended up providing for his kids, giving them everything they ever wanted. But then he was also absent. And he was absent in the sense, he was emotionally absent. He couldn't form a relationship with his children. And he was working so hard because he thought that the best way to be there for my children was to prevent, the thing I lacked, I didn't want them to lack. But he didn't recognize that he not only lacked financially, he also lacked emotionally from his father's absence. So in him not wanting to be an absent dad, he ended up being an absent dad. So it's so funny how people just end up in situations where they're like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. And but they go back to that because they haven't taken out the time to study this person that I'm running from. What exactly made them who they are? What are the voids that exist within them that's made them who they are, so that I don't repeat the same mistake? You don't see what is underneath, you just see the surface of it. Yeah, that is so interesting. Yeah. Okay, so now my next question for you goes thus. Now, we know people run from healthy relationships, and that is because when you're in a healthy relationship, it really causes you to confront your own, in air quotes, demons. It causes you to look at yourself and say, okay, this person is telling me that I can't communicate by yelling. So what are you trying to say? I'm supposed to just be whispering. Because, people that don't have and I've experienced trauma, have problems with regulation, emotional regulation and self-regulation. So when you tell them that I need you to reduce your voice, they interpret it as you're telling me to shut up.
Exactly.
It's always black and white. It's never really, the gray areas don't particularly exist. They're either fighting or they're flying. So what does a healthy relationship look like? Because that's even a lesson, and I'm going to send this to so many of my clients because they don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. So what would you say are the markers to know that your relationship is healthy and good?
I mean, I think like right now I have a cold, right? I know I'm not healthy, When I don't have a cold, I know I'm healthy, And so health is something that we're aware of. However, when we now talk about emotional health, it's now subjective. It's not like physical. So when I'm injured in my leg, I stub my toe, I know I stubbed my toe. Emotional health is not the same because it's a subjective thing. So we all define it differently, right? So what is healthy to me may not be healthy to you. A person in a fiery relationship will say, my relationship is healthy. A person in a Zen relationship will say, my relationship is healthy. Are either of them wrong? Right? It's just we have different definitions of healthy. And so I think the definition of healthy for each individual, you have to have your own definition, but you need to update your definition. Right? You need to be comfortable updating that definition. So, for example, when I was a teenager, the only thing I cared about was you must be 6'3". For me, that was, you just needed to be 6'3". I mean, you need to have sense and be smart. But for me, but now I'm a grown woman, I'm like, sense doesn't come with height. Like I know that. And so my definition of a partner has evolved. And so my definition of healthy has also evolved. I would say the first thing, and I'll reflect a bit of Gottman and a bit of what I've seen as well, is friendship, right? Friendship, and I think friendship is so important in that you must like the person that you're with. I must like that you like anime. I like anime. I must like that, you like football or you do this. Your quirks should be things that I like about you, right? And the foundation of friendship for me is communication, right? We should enjoy talking together, speaking together, sharing things. There should be a strong sense of communication. And it doesn't have to be cha 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 cha, but we can communicate in our own way. Whether that is music, whether that is books, whether that is movies, there must be something where we are communicating and transferring thoughts, right? Another ingredient of a healthy relationship is humor. One of my markers of if a relationship is going to be good in my assessment is how many times you laugh together, right? Couples that don't laugh together don't stay together.
I laugh a lot in my relationship, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Couples that don't laugh together don't stay together for very long. Another thing that Gottman says, it talks about the bids, right? Which is like when your partner calls your attention to something, how long does it take for you to respond? Right? And so when a person is starting to get out of relationship mentally, their bids for communication start to decrease. They don't want to talk as much. They don't, initiate as much and things like that. Right? So friendship, communication, humor, the bids, right? Your love maps of each other. So love maps is how aware of you are you about your partner? So there's a question in my assessment which is what are your partner's worries, stressors, hopes, and motivations, I think, right? And so if for example, when we started this call, you reflected back to 2018 when we started, but you're still so aware of my life that you know that I'm doing a master's or I just finished a master's right now. The last information you had on me was from 2018. You're not aware of who I am today, right? And so when we talk about love maps or cognition maps, are you aware of who your partner is today? What is stressing them right now? What they're hopeful and aspiration for is in 2025, things like that. And so when you meet couples who they can't recount their partner's present or past, because one of my questions is, how did you meet? How did you fall in love? Right? If you don't remember like what that person looked like that day, you're just like, I don't even remember. They're just, you just realize that this person isn't as into it because the way the mind works is things that are top of mind for us are top of mind for us, And so healthy relationships are one where your love maps are very vast, very in-depth, and in-depthness comes from communication.
Yeah.
So I cannot know you if I do not talk to you, right? And so when you see relationships or marriages where partners have become roommates, you're married but you don't know your partner has gotten a promotion. You're married but you don't know who their top 3 is. So those little games that they play on all these game shows, what's their favorite color, what's their favorite this, what's their favorite that, you don't know those things if you don't talk, and you don't know those things if you don't care about those things. So I can ask you about, say, your favorite color, right? But if it's not important to me, I won't keep the information. So if you tell me, Angel, I want to start watching anime, I'll send you a list of anime because I care about anime, right? If you tell me you want to start watching football, I don't really watch football. So love maps can be things that you talk about, but also things that are important to you, but also things that are important to your partner. Because I can have information about you that is not important to you, right? Like if I know your favorite color, if I don't know your favorite food, and food is important to you, you're like, yeah, you know my color, but what I wanted you to know is food, right? So it's important that couples talk to each other about the things that are important to each other. So it's not just what is important to me, what is important to you that you want me to remember about you. And so yeah, those are like some, I would say, characteristics of a healthy relationship. You must talk. You must talk about the things that are important. You must laugh. Laughter is so important. Laughter is so important. When a couple doesn't laugh, they're headed to the cemetery of relationships. If you don't laugh together, you're just it's not, because laughter also diffuses tension.
Yeah.
So if we're having a fight and I say an inside joke that is for both of us, I've diffused that fight, right? But if we are not a couple that laughs together, if we don't have inner jokes, if we're not humorous to each other, then when conflict is going, it's like bas goes ba, and it just keeps going up. You get defensive, I get defensive. So yeah, friendship, humor, communication.
We're already out of time, unfortunately, because I really wanted us to go into the part about conflict resolution, because we know that one of the things that makes relationship last is having good conflict resolution skills. So the next season, we're going to bring you back. So you can have a conversation with us about, please, we'll find you, even if it's virtual, because I know Nigeria is just carrying everybody outside the country. So wherever you are, we'll try to make an effort to get you on a call so we can have this conversation about how to resolve conflict well in your relationships. Thank you so much for your time, Angel. This was very insightful and also quite validating for me to know I'm in a healthy relationship. So my question now is, or rather what we're going to end with is, typically we have a previous guest leave a question for the next guest.
Okay.
And the previous guest we had on the show was Sandra Anyehibi, our girl. So She has left a question for you.
Did she know it was me that was coming?
No, she didn't know. So the question that she left is, when was the last time you had a very difficult conversation regarding money?
I don't think I have difficult conversations around money. I mean, with my family, for example, my brother and I live together, and we've always like shared the bills, right? So that's not difficult. I do think that I have difficult conversations about money internally, if I'm being honest. So because of how I grew up, there was a time when we had, and then suddenly didn't. And so that affected my money habits in the sense of I started to hold on to money a lot. So I would save, and I wouldn't spend at all. And then I had an accident in I think 2017 or 2018. And it wasn't fatal or anything, but the car tire was like next to my neck. And I was just like, oh, if I die, this is how you be able to carry my money. And so I'm sure that was the first time I was like, my family won't even have this money. And so since then, I've not lived a YOLO life. I still save and invest a lot. But I just internally, I'm just like, enjoy your life. Like, you make money, spend the money, enjoy your life. So I don't deprive myself of good things because I'm just like, life can happen at any time. I think internally the struggle I have, and people have pointed this out to me, is if I see an Uber of 2.5 and I see InDrive of 2,000, I can wait for that. But in the same breath, I can go to a gallery and buy a really expensive piece of art. Spending small sums of money, like just maybe like you're charging me 2,000 naira more for a ride. I have like a lot of issue with that. Like I find it very difficult to pay. But then I can go to dinner that night at like RSVP or so. I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know.
Do you feel like you're being cheated?
I don't know if it's that I'm being cheated or I just really struggle with it. I just really struggle with it. Like, and like, I noticed it this year because like, there was a time we were trying to order a ride. It was 10 something. And I was just like, this shouldn't be 10 something. This should be this should be that. And we literally went to a gallery like a couple of days before. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, just pay the money. I was just like, no. And then I had to sit down and I'm like, why do I have an issue with little sums of money?
Do you feel like you're a lot more trusting of places that ask you to pay big sums of money? Or is it like also the spaces that you go to pay big sums of money, you don't feel like you're being cheated there?
So I think with big sum of money stuff, I feel like I can rationalize this expense. I get it. This is how much it should cost. This is how much it is. My Uber to my house should be 5,000, not 10,000. I don't want to pay that 10,000.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So yeah, that's the last time I struggled with money. Yeah, even coming here today, I think it was 8,000 from Yaba.
Can you imagine that? Yaba to here.
10 minutes drive. Finally found for 3.5. Thank Jesus. So yeah, that's it. That's my struggle. That's my struggle with money. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll need you to leave a question for the next guest that we're going to have on the show.
When did you know that you wanted to do what you currently do? What was the pivotal moment that you're like,
when did you know? Do this? Okay, you wanted to do what you wanted to do, what you're currently doing. Okay, all right. So have that all typed out. And good luck to whoever that person is.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here today, Angel. This is a very insightful conversation.
Thank you.
And I'm really, really happy to see you in full and good health, minus the cold. All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you all so much for listening to today's conversation. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed having the conversation itself. And please do not forget to like, to share, to subscribe, and to send this to your friends, your loved ones, your colleagues, and a stranger. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.